Hi YouTube, it's Nate again. Before I even start this video, I just want to let you know that I've lost complete grip of my productivity because Halo Infinite came out and the multiplayer is really addicting. I've been playing it maybe a bit too much. Maybe I'll make a video on that too. Let me know what you think about that in the comments. So in today's video, I'm going to be discussing the Steam Deck and what it can bring to the games industry. More specifically, the implications it has towards Nintendo and their console, the Nintendo Switch. I'm going to read this on camera. I want to have a disclaimer here before I jump in the video because I'm not here to defend or attack one side of the spectrum. I'm simply here to offer insight. Please remember that some of what I'm saying is sourced and cited, and objectively some things are true because I'm trying to report and say things as accurately as possible. But in that same regard, some of this is my own perspective and point of view. So I do want to keep light of that as well. I mean, I own a regular Switch, a Lite, and a gaming PC. I think I'm like in both camps. I'm not here to tell you how dumb you are. You should already know that. There's always room to speculate, critique, and share thoughts on the potential of things or what things could be. And besides, competition's always good for business. Okay, so anyway, disclaimer over. There are pros and cons, along with some things that we as an audience and of consumers may not be thinking of when talking about the Steam Deck. So I'm going to go over some general points and then I'm going to further explain them in more detail to make the information more easily digestible. Because I get it, I'm a nerd who enjoys the game industry. I love it, and I love being able to inform people who would want to know these type of things or speculate about these types of things. And as always, I think accessibility and understanding things and forming your own opinions is one of the most important things that we have to offer as people. So let's get on with point number 1. Competition ramps up for another killer app because Steam can play it all except for Nintendo Switch games. So before we talk about this in detail, I feel that I should explain what a killer app even is or what it means. A killer app is a function, feature, or application of a new technology or product which is presented as virtually indispensable or much superior to rival products. So this is why things like iPhones are much more dominant because of things like iMessage and how much easier it is to communicate with other users that use iMessage. And even the interface of iOS itself is considered a killer app because of the ease of use and the simplicity that comes with an Apple product. In gaming, some of the killer apps include Sony's The Last of Us, Microsoft's Halo, Nintendo's Legend of Zelda or the Mario series, Animal Crossing. I begin to notice something as I'm talking about this. Nintendo has a lot of these killer apps. With the upcoming release of the Steam Deck, I wouldn't put it past Nintendo to be pondering how they can release another killer app to try and compete with the Steam Deck. I don't really think they're a competing type of console, or I don't think they're a competing type of company for the most part, and I would imagine they're not that worried with the sequel of Breath of the Wild coming out and then the new Kirby 3D game, Kirby and the Forgotten Land. There are also the unknown release dates of Bayonetta 3 and Metroid Prime 4, but who knows when those will come out at this point. But with all that being said, it transitions me smoothly to my next point. Steam prices and sales put more pressure on Nintendo to have better sales and prices. Why spend more on an often worse port of a game? Let's be honest, Nintendo doesn't really mark their games down on sale, and the reason is simple. In marketing terms, they say things like they stand by their product and function on the belief that their unique titles are not supposed to drop because, like we've mentioned before, they are the killer apps. They are the things that are the reason to own the console. The problem is, whether this is intentional or not, this exact mentality has moved over onto almost every single game that's been ported on the Switch. The unique factor of this console is that you can take the games on it anywhere you go. It's portable, and it is indeed unique. So much so that it's caused me to double dip on games I normally wouldn't buy a second time for any other reason besides the portability. However, the portability factor won't be as unique once the Steam Deck launches. This might cause Nintendo to feel that they have to, and I'm using air quotes because obviously they don't have to do anything, that they have to price games lower and meet the common denominator of sales that happen more often on Steam than any other platform on the market. To address the last part of my question, why spend more on an often worse port of a game? What the Switch has over the Steam Deck is the slim portability, but on the Switch, objectively specs wise, the games run and look worse. If I play games like The Outer Wilds, Witcher 3, the Borderlands series, or Bioshock, I would say that you're 9 out of 10 times going to pick the Steam Deck version, and those versions can be also obtained for a lot less on Steam. And speaking of subpar ports, let's bring in the segue. Emulation on Steam Deck shows a lack of polished Switch online ports of older titles in Nintendo's online retro game library. Okay, so I get it. This one might be a little bit controversial to say because of the gray area that comes with emulation, but I feel that it is definitely worth mentioning. With the emphasis on the subpar or limited ports on the Nintendo Switch, I think we need to address another elephant in the room. The N64 ports on Switch Online are straight up bad. They're really not good. They're laughable even. With a bit of research, the reason why they aren't good isn't because the Switch can't handle these games from the late 90s, it's because the emulators they're running on are incompetent. If you look back at the emulation on the Wii Virtual Console, every single one of those games actually ran a unique emulator, like they made their own emulator for each game. There was an emulator designed from the ground up, specifically designed to run that one game. I'll leave a link to the article going into more detail about this in the description because it is genuinely a really cool read. So while the subpar emulation is locked behind a paywall that costs more than the regular online service and is being treated as an expansion, you can have the Steam Deck. You can run RetroArch and other platforms that are developed by and for the gaming community, meaning that there are years of fine-tuning and testing, driven to run things smoothly and not driven to gain a profit. Okay, so I'm done. I'm done crying about the Switch. So let's move on to some points that are directed more towards the Steam Deck. The Steam Deck is by extension a laptop, and as such, can be a certain demographics laptop, while still being a fully featured portable gaming console. So when thinking about what defines a killer app for a broad group of people, I'd say that the Steam Deck has a lot to offer in different ways, especially in ways we may not think of on a surface level. People in business can use it as a basic word processing tool or spreadsheet tool with a keyboard and mouse, and students can use it to do school-related tasks. I mean, there even exists portable monitors, so you can connect the Steam Deck to a portable monitor so that you don't have this gaudy-looking PC, like Wii U gamepad looking thing. It fits the bill when it comes to cost and function. Why spend $1,200 on a MacBook or $600 on a modern laptop? Most things in the modern age of technology relating to school and work usually operate off of something as simple as a web page. The Steam Deck will be dockable, so it can just work as a PC, which many users cite as good enough reason to build a gaming PC, because even if you don't game, you still got a computer. You can still record audio, video, you can make graphics, you can do graphic design. There are a lot of things you can do on a computer that aren't just game. Let's not forget that the lowest price model starts at $400. When you compare that to consoles like the PS5, the Xbox Series X, and an actual gaming PC, including the scalping of graphics cards, like it's a pretty great deal. Most people enjoy graphics and seeing a game run smoothly, but usually won't mind not having something like ray tracing or native 4K. A lot of times people don't even notice that type of stuff. But I can't just sit here and simp for the Steam Deck because there is one big glaring issue that I haven't addressed yet that I feel is definitely worth talking about. So let's get to my last point. So while the Steam controller and Steam Link work great, there are reports of the Valve Index not being up to par and it costing around $1,200. This is much less about the Steam controller because there was a mostly lukewarm reception to the Steam controller. Like, it wasn't great, but it wasn't bad either. It was, it was good. It was okay. I mean, until Valve decided to sell all of them for like $7 each. I really was jumped on that. It definitely doesn't help that the other hardware released along the Steam controller was something called the Steam Machine. It was deemed by critics in the industry to be dead on arrival. So Valve has tried this type of accessible PC gaming route in the past, and it didn't really pan out that well for them at all. The other thing I mentioned in this talking point is the Valve Index. I'm going to pull the curtain back and let you in on a little secret. I watch YouTube content too. I know, it's a shocker. A YouTube channel that I love a whole lot and is a huge influence on the content that I actually make and write is Super Bunny Hop. Super Bunny Hop has had a fair amount of issues with the Valve Index, and they are a bit alarming as he's had 2 of them die on him with little rhyme or reason. I think the first one was that he stepped on a cable, which, I mean, granted, that does happen, but the whole thing, just the way he explained those issues are kind of worrying though. Luckily the first one was replaced under warranty. I think his now replacement unit fell out of warranty, so he's kind of SOL on that one. If this is the tech you get for $1,200, failing on you multiple times, what might that tech look like for $400? That's pretty alarming if you ask me. Normally, I would be all over technology like this, but I must practice making smart decisions by waiting for what impressions look like in long-term reliability, especially now that I have this weird bias towards Valve and long-term reliability. But this might be a factor as to why the product has been delayed, amongst other reasons such as supply chain issues, which is affecting a large amount of industries outside of the game industry. Valve has gone on record to say that they're looking to right their wrongs that happened with the Steam machine, but they've only ever really implied that. I will always be cautious and do my best to stop myself from buying into hype like this. All the points I made today may imply that I was struck by some kind of Steam Deck fairy to go and sing the praises, like Cupid's bow and arrow. No? You don't know? Oh, okay. But I can assure you, the points are if and when the Steam Deck releases to fanfare and does well and ends up being exactly what the marketing says it is, then I might jump ship. I might go for it. But to make this relevant to the video, I think that's why a lot of people love the Nintendo Switch so much. They had the trailer, played out all these things that you could do with it. It showcased a video game console that showed exactly how it functioned, and it just worked. And I think that goes hand in hand with what I was saying about iPhones earlier. There's no troubleshooting. Things just turn on. They function. They say welcome. Play the game. It starts. If you watch that advertisement, get a Nintendo Switch in your hands and place it into the dock, it will be exactly the way that the advertisements frame this to be. I think to be a smash hit, the Steam Deck needs to have that layer of accessibility to truly compete with Nintendo. And if they do, the races will begin. And as always, we'll all win in that case because we will all have consoles that meet our needs, and through that comes competition, and with competition comes innovation. So that wraps up this video game discussion. I'd love to hear your thoughts or talking points about the Switch and the Steam Deck. If you feel that I missed something, please feel free to leave a comment because I'd love to hear it. Don't forget to leave a like if you enjoyed the video. If you've made it this far into the video, thank you so much. And if you'd like to see more, please consider subscribing to the channel, as I always upload videos at least once a week. For more discussions, I have a playlist chock full of video game discussions. For Animal Crossing videos, I have a Dream Island Tour playlist that's updated every week with a new island tour. I stream a bit sporadically on Twitch. Please also check out the Sleepy Gamer podcast. I'm actually going to be recording one the day that this comes out, which is scheduled to come on Saturday. Thanks for watching, and thanks for allowing me to plug my own content. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and bye for now.